It's TPS, the Protagonist Show. I'm Dan Vaughn.
I'm Josh Duder.
And this is your quick hit visit through three big topics, what we're watching, a host of other things, maybe some off-topic stuff. You never know. We're here to talk about soccer, the soccer world in general. Welcome to the show. Josh Duder, how's your week been?
It's my son's 11th birthday week. Multiple celebrations across a 7-day span. It's been a busy week celebrating him. How's your week, Dan?
You know what? This is the prelude to my birthday week. I have 7 days to go until I am significantly older than 11. That is for sure. But one time I was. Yeah. Excellent. Well, let's get into topic one. And that topic, of course, is the potential departure of Trinity Rodman from the NWSL. This story's kind of been all over the place in the news over the course of this week. I felt like we had to talk about this, but basically, Washington Spirit superstar Trinity Rodman, also obviously a star for the U.S. Women's National Team, is ending her contract. It's getting to the end, and it appears that due to the crippling nature of the salary cap in the NWSL, that they may not have the money to offer her what she deserves to be paid as, I mean, arguably one of the best 10, 15, 20 soccer players in the world. And so because of that, it looks like she may be departing the NWSL to go find a league without the chains of a salary cap. Funny enough, just at the end of this week, the USL Super League, a league that I cover, a team apparently has made a contract offer to Trinity Rodman, and it's beautiful stuff because they are also a Washington DC team, DC Power, and don't have a salary cap to contend with. And so because of that, they can make a money offer. Whatever it is, according to Meg Lenahan, right, and she's the one that covered this, they offered her a significantly larger contract than what the Washington Spirit could offer. And I, for one, find that absolutely hilarious. I'm all for this. This is gamemanship at the highest level, and I'm all for that. And the probably because of where the USL Super League now is in its development, she will almost certainly not take that offer, almost certainly. And that's okay. And I think Super League is probably okay with that too. They got what they wanted, which is they're in every conversation right now. But the place that most people are saying that she's probably going to end up is the Women's Super League in England. And that's the real threat to a lot of players in the NWSL. And the NWSL up to this point has been considered the top women's league, but the Super League in England is adding players over and over again, and we keep seeing the big names from the United States end up over here. Alyssa Thompson went last season on transfer. So I guess, Josh, what do you think about all this?
I think similar to how England, the Premier League, had grown, 20 years ago, where it was a slight competitor for big names, but over the last 20 years, the Premier League has become a destination for the best coaches and the best players because the league is absolutely stacked with billion-dollar investors. Those very same billion-dollar foreign investors, be it American hedge funds or if it's Saudi Arabian money, whatever it is, they're also looking to sports wash into women's sports in England as well. And I could just see some of these super clubs. I mean, Newcastle United has sprung up two promotions in the last 3 years. They don't look promising to be promoted this year, but again, maybe next year. But these teams are super loaded with cash. And I do see the WSL and the growth of the women's sport in England a huge threat to the way that we had perceived the NWSL as the premier destination league for women's soccer. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to kind of reinstate ourselves in that position.
Well, from the article by Meg Lenahan, apparently the salary cap is currently, and I'm quoting her here, currently set at $3.3 million per team for the 2026 season. Based on the current NWSL CBA, that number will finally surpass the $5 million mark by the 2030 season. Apparently, though, the NWSL, again, this is quoting Meg Linehan, has the power based on that agreement with the NWSL Players Association to adjust the salary cap as it deems fit after consulting with the PA. Sounds like, David Beckham type rules back in the day. If you'll remember, there were some people complaining about how he ended up in LA. I guess the question is, Josh, and I think that has the salary cap outlived its usefulness, in that it was obviously put in place to keep teams from overspending, overextending, and being forced to spend money they really didn't have, right? And the NWSL is, for all its warts, a great league still to this day, is expanding, is adding teams throughout the country. But is the NWSL going to have a real problem retaining talent because the salary cap continues to restrict them?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. I think that there is a risk of retaining talent, and you're going to see your top 2%, 3% top players depart the league for greener pastures that they can get paid more. But the salary cap also does still protect some of the smaller market teams and allows them to stay competitive. Kind of where MLS was 15, 20 years ago. NWSL is still kind of a baby league, and maybe we do need to keep the training wheels on that organization just to make sure that one or two teams don't outspend the rest, and then we see the whole thing collapse. It's a good opportunity for them to test out teaming up with USL. I think this starts to push those two organizations together. I mean, not tomorrow, not next year, but it certainly raises the question of how can we team up so that we don't lose our top American talent to overseas clubs. And also it forces NWSL and USL Super League, for that matter, to really think about investing in player development. So if you're going to just accept that you're going to lose your 1, 2, 3%, your top 3% players every year, how do we make more good players that can fill in those ranks and take the pay that we can afford? So it'll be interesting to see how player development progresses throughout this process as well.
Yeah, I don't know where I am on this. I think I'm opposed to the artificial constrictions of a salary cap. I understand its purpose. But I also think that as organizations should make their own decisions as far as what they can afford and not afford. So I guess I'm a little bit more free market from that perspective, but I tend to be anti-free market in most of the rest of my life. So that kind of confuses me, and I feel conflicted here. So I want Trinity Rodman playing for DC Power. I would love to cover Trinity Rodman.
Absolutely. She's fantastic. Dan, I think one of the solutions to that question we may see in the USL men's system in the next couple of years, Pro Rel. And we'll get into some USL Championship here in a second, but I think Pro Rel offers an opportunity for teams that maybe they get priced out of their league position. Instead of having to pick up their camp and move to a different city or fold altogether, which happens way too often in the United States, I think if Pro Rel were implemented in a meaningful way that was well thought out, and remember, there's more than one way to skin this cat. It doesn't always have to be the way Pro Rel is implemented in some of the major league markets that we see. But there's ways that the numbers can work out where the teams that just can't afford it, they drop down a division where they can afford to exist instead of folding up. And I think that's really, really important.
I don't know about skinning a cat. I don't know anything about that. That's a weird phrase. I'm aware of it, but it's a weird phrase.
Yeah, etymology is a whole different podcast we should start.
I totally agree with you on that. But let's go to topic 2.
Yeah, you got it. So talking about USL Championship, there's a final this weekend. FC Tulsa versus the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. The pre-playoff poll fans had only 10% picking Tulsa and 2% picking Riverhounds to make the final. So Dan, be honest, did you have either of these teams on your radar?
I just kept voting Detroit City the whole time. For whatever reason, I didn't have these two there. Maybe Detroit City could play their practice squad or something. I don't know.
Maybe. They made the playoffs though.
Yeah.
And I think
they knocked off the number 1 seed.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And then Pittsburgh knocked them off. I believe that's how that
true
ended.
Yep.
The Riverhounds finished 4th as the 4th seed with 44 points and a +4 goal difference. 5 wins from their last 10 games with 2 draws, 3 losses. It's better than average, this run going into the playoffs, but it wasn't anything that would have convinced anyone to fawn over them or to vote for them in the pre-playoff poll. The Riverhounds did not even play Tulsa this year, so we don't sort of have a test game.
But they did draw 2-2 back in the 2024 regular season, and Tulsa beat Pittsburgh in the US Open Cup in 2024. They played twice in 2023, and Pittsburgh won one and drew one, and played twice in 2022, and Pittsburgh won both. So I guess history's on their side, if that matters.
We will see. Pittsburgh has Augie Williams, a historically fantastic player in the league, with 9 goals, tied for 17th in the Golden Boot race this year. The Riverhounds have nobody in the top 30 for assists, but Robbie Mertz is second in the league for chances created. Augie Williams, 6 for shots taken. They will need to finish these chances against Tulsa, Dan. Eric Dick, however, finished the year top of the goalkeeping heap with 14 clean sheets and 74 saves. So as a team, they have the second lowest goals against in the East, the third lowest goals against in the league. And they've allowed 0 goals in the playoffs so far.
What a dick. FC Tulsa finished top of the West with 57 points and a plus 20 goal differential. That sounds a lot better than plus 4 in my head. At least I think so. Josh, could you tell us how Tulsa will stack up against Pittsburgh?
Tulsa, to begin, first off, this is not in the notes, but this is an amazing turnaround. So Tulsa finished not the top of the table last year. It's just a fantastic turnaround for this organization. And it shows you that in this league, a little bit of investment, some rejigging of your coaching, anything is possible. They had the 3rd best record in the league behind both Louisville City and Charleston Battery this year. FC Tulsa have also managed to shut out all opponents in the playoffs. And as a matter of fact, have only given up 1 goal since the first weekend in October. That's 7 games without allowing their opponents to score. Taylor Calhera tied for second in the Golden Boot race with 17. Stefan Lukic added 7 more. Jamie Weber had 5 assists and 34 chances created. So keep an eye on him. He's a danger man. And Johan Penaranda had 54 saves, 16th best in the league, and 8 clean sheets. This game kicks off on Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific. That's 10 for you, 11 a.m. Central. It's a strange time to start, considering the game is competing with the Premier League and La Liga and Bundesliga for soccer eyeballs, but then with college football for attendance and the casual American sports fan. So of note, Dan, there is, and it was not our normal cup of tea, but there is just one MLS playoff game tomorrow, which I think would have been a better time to schedule this game.
Yeah, it's how it happens sometimes, and sometimes there's stubborn people making decisions like that. If you decide what you're going to do, what you're going to do. By the way, before we go on to the next topic, shout out to Kaylor Hodges, our friends from the USL show. He's making the drive from Birmingham.
It's like 10 hours.
Watch the final. Yeah, he posted it.
Drive.
Yeah, he posted 9 hours and 13 minutes when he posted on social media. And I thought it was funny because Sonny D'Alessandro, friend of the show, friend of Protagonist Soccer, and one of the leaders at Tulsa Athletic, reached out to me earlier this week and said, "Hey, you coming to Tulsa for the final?" And I took a screenshot of the drive from El Paso. It's close to 12 hours. And I said, "This is why I'm not coming." So I guess Kaylor saw the same kind of map and said, "I'm going anyway."
It is well, hopefully this podcast is loaded up in time for a Kaylor to listen to it halfway through his drive.
Oh, poor bastard. Well, finally, topic 3, it's the Copa Mundial, the World Cup news dump. There's a lot of stuff in the news as we ramp towards the World Cup. We're less than 6 months now, 7 months away from the World Cup kicking off. And it is very interesting to me. 42 of 48 42 of 48 national teams have punched their ticket to visit our hemisphere. If that's something you want to do right now, there are some fun qualified teams. Josh, I'm going to read off a couple of these, and I'd love for you to pick the one that you think is the most fun story. But Curacao, Haiti, Scotland, Uzbekistan, Jordan, most of these teams making either their first trip or the first in a long time to the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I see your next bullet point. I think Haiti is probably on my top list. Curacao is certainly a really interesting story. Those two I'm excited for. Look, Scotland. We were texting privately. I've got a crazy former brother-in-law that's Scottish, and I just can't stand the accent. Sounds like a mouthful of marbles. I'm gonna get a Glaswegian smile for that. But yeah, those are some really exciting teams. This is gonna be a great tournament, Dan.
But man, did you see that McTominay bike?
Did you realize that he was voted like the best, most exciting player in Italy last year?
I also know he's formerly of a team that I follow. What's interesting about, yes, you mentioned Haiti, which I think is interesting. Both Haiti and Iran currently are not allowed to travel to the U.S. due to restrictions that the Trump administration has put on travel. That might have also been from Biden as well. I'm not 100% sure when those restrictions started. So I want to be clear. This is not a partisan issue. We've got plenty of problems with the Trump administration, but this may or may not be his doing. But both have punched their ticket for the World Cup. And so that becomes really complicated how they're going to do this, because I would assume that there's going to be pots that are going to play their matches either in Mexico or Canada. And they probably don't expect either of these teams to advance out of the pot that they get put in, because they're probably going to be one of the lower teams that goes in. So potentially you put them in Canada or in Mexico and hope that one of them doesn't make it through. I don't know. I mean, we've seen a lot of pictures of World Cup officials and even the World Cup trophy around Trump's desk. Maybe there's going to be some kind of special dispensation offered by the king.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he seems to be really into it. If there's anything I can give him credit for, he seems to actually really be into this.
Dictators love things like this.
Doesn't his son play soccer and love Barron? Doesn't Barron love soccer?
He's also freakishly tall, just as a point of
so is Peter Crouch.
Freakishly tall. Yes, Peter Crouch. Have you ever listened to this podcast? It's fantastic.
It's a fantastic show. Yeah,
it's absolutely a fantastic show. You turn this podcast off. Go listen to that Peter Crouch podcast.
We're done. We're done.
We're done. What is crazy though is that you may have to have a last name of Trump to see any of these matches, because ticket prices are currently insane. And now, because some of these tickets, or most of the tickets, have been sold already, they're now being scalped at double and triple within the marketplace that FIFA set up, so that FIFA could double dip off of these tickets. Whatever it sold for, it takes a cut from both the seller and the buyer on this. FIFA is like, the mask is off. And I mean, I'm not saying anything that all of us don't know already, right? And you talked about sports washing earlier, and it is so frustrating that the worst people in the world get to control what's the awesomest game in the world.
I know.
It's frustrating.
Absolutely.
And something else that I heard for the first time today online was that people haven't really been thinking about the heat and what it might mean for teams that are coming from places that are not used to American heat. And obviously the match sites are all over the country, in Mexico as well, and Canada as well. But the heat in summer here, it may be a bit much for some people. Obviously they're not going to play any matches in El Paso, but it may be pretty spicy, playing a match in the afternoon at 3 p.m. In some of the hotter climes might be a difficult ask for teams from some other places, which in other times, I know that typically they've stacked the matches late at night. Remember South Africa, they moved, I think all the matches took place later in the day, if I remember correctly.
With
kind of hard.
Yeah, the
Cutter,
the last one.
Yeah.
So, but the Rose Bowl at 4 p.m. on a summer day, there's zero coverage for the supporters. With the players, like, at least they'll get some water breaks. They can have tents over their head. For the fans, you're just sitting out there in the sun. Just gonna get heat stroke.
Yeah. So anyway, still looking for the World Cup.
Yeah, I'll still get my Panini sticker book.
True. Well, I'll be watching that World Cup when it happens, but this weekend I'll be tuning into the USL Super League. Saturday, I got a great match between Tampa Bay and Lexington. This is a battle between the ninth currently in the standings. That's Tampa Bay, and Lexington, which is currently the number 1 in the standings. But Tampa Bay's starting to show life. We're starting to see some draws. We're starting to find goals. Maybe things change, especially with the addition of Maddie Parsons. If you don't follow USL Super League last season, Maddie Parsons played for Lexington. And so I'm hopeful that she's going to integrate into this Tampa Bay team and kind of provide the spark that they need on offense. Of course, Lexington stacked all of the talent from the Super League onto one squad and is top of the table, really clicking right now. So they're a fun team to watch, period. I think they hung 5 on someone recently.
Yikes.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
Josh, who do you watch this weekend?
Well, I mean, besides the championship final on Saturday, U.S. Open Cup qualifying 4th and final round is this weekend. Ballard FC, Ballard FC is playing Valley 559 at Interbay Stadium on Saturday. They usually provide a stream. I will share it personally on Blue Sky and X if I find the link. BOHFS St. Louis versus Chicago House AC on Sunday. Maybe a link for that one. We just had a profile on that BOHFS St. Louis. I don't know if I'm supposed to say it out loud or if I just say BOFs. I'm not sure. And then Denton Diablos are hosting ASC New Starts from Denton. Also on Sunday, there's likely a stream. I know that they like to do that down there. Our friend Damon likes to provide all the best for his team and for fans. So if not, check their social media handle. They do minute by minute or highlight by highlight updates. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna get stuck into.
When you said BOFs, it sounded like you put a question mark at the end of it, and I thought, did someone type that in there?
You know, if you put it on the teleprompter, I will ask the question.
Good times. Good times, Josh. You ready to go off topic? I think I'll kick us off. Why not? All right. We've talked about the USL Super League final, or excuse me, not the USL Super League final. We talked about, I got to restart this. I had the technical issues.
You deserve a restart.
And I appreciate you giving that to me. Thank you. Let's try it again. We talked about the USL Championship final. There's another final this weekend. The NWSL final take place between Gotham and Washington. 2 very different teams that got here, but they are both fantastic. And I know we trashed the NWSL earlier this episode, some of the problems that are going on with it, but this has been the most important women's league for professional women players in this country's history. And you should watch the final. It's kind of important. You know what I mean? That's what I think anyway. All right, Josh.
I'm skipping the final. The Thorns got knocked out, and I'm not interested. I'm bitter.
You're bitter. You're done. Love that for you. You ready to go?
Yeah.
All right, hit it, buddy.
Major League Soccer voted to move to a fall-spring schedule with their winter break in December and January. They're aligning themselves with most European schedules, and this is great for attracting more upper, mid to high-quality players who are willing to test the U.S. market. This also presents an interesting opportunity for the USL system to just stay where they are for at least a season and see what life is like in the summer without MLS to contend against for a soccer audience. Maybe more butts in seats, maybe more eyes on TVs.
I love that idea. I talked about that recently when I was on Morning Kick Around to talk a little bit about that, and I had not considered that. That's not the worst idea in the world. You have a differentiator that you didn't even have to do anything for.
Yeah, at least try it. See what happens. Yeah. If it doesn't work out after a season or 2, you can move too.
True that. If you enjoy our stuff, if you like this show, if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you listen to it on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast, you can support us by joining our Patreon, patreon.com/Protagonist Soccer. It is the funder of almost everything that we do here is through that. Yes, we also sell things, and you can visit the shop on protagonistsoccer.com, where currently we're pushing a host of cool stuff. Josh is about to talk about it. But
actually, I just spent a little bit of time yesterday rearranging the shop page. So
you're like an old-fashioned shopkeeper. You dusted it out, clean it out. Like, hey, look at this! Look at what I'm saying. Oh, but before I get done with my plugs, I just want to say, if you're not listening to our podcast feed, or if you are,
please do.
look for America's Greatest. It's a podcast that Josh and I invest a ton of time into, and we do it season by season because it does take a lot of work. I think this season we're going to have 10 episodes, and we've got some of the coolest people, writers, podcasters, media personalities, ex-U.S. men's national team players, movers and shakers within the soccer community, talking about their favorite or most important match out of U.S. soccer history. And it is such a blast to talk to these people, to watch their eyes light up. You know, Charlie Boehm was on talking about Snow Classico in Denver, and he was there watching that as it happened. And he talked about his experience trying to watch it from the press box, not being able to see anything and not really knowing what's going on, and sort of being part of that experience. And you can't beat that. We had Jimmy Conrad on. Jimmy Conrad talked about warming up on the sideline with Clint Dempsey as they were down 3-0 and going, I don't know that I want this to be my World Cup debut. Where are you going to hear that story if it's not on America's Greatest? So if you haven't listened to America's Greatest, go onto our podcast feed, check it out. It's really one of the best projects that I've been involved in. I definitely feel passionate about it. Obviously, I keep plugging it, but I just want to make my case. Please give it a shot. Josh, plug something else and get this guy to shut up.
I mean, listen, dude, we're doing so many cool projects. I like a good project. You know, I like a good project. We did, I think in the past 8 years, we've done 3 sets of Birds of a Feather flock together, bird patches. The sale of the bird patches, 100% of the proceeds goes to charities chosen by the clubs involved. Sets 4 and 5 include Tormenta FC. These clubs have authorized us to use their logos for this process, so it's not just us winging it. Tormenta FC is backing us. RGV Red Crowns, Austin
Winging
Rise
it?
FC. Hey, that's a bird-brained comment, huh? Spam FC, they do great things up in Minnesota. Ford Madison is behind us. Febra Amarella FC out of the Bay State Soccer League. Rochester FC from Minnesota, and Tallahassee Reckoning. Great clubs doing good things in all kinds of leagues. And so money will go to charity there. Those patches should be about in like 3 weeks. I think we should actually see the patches back from manufacturing. And then issue 2, Dan, of the Protagonist zine, the pre-sales dropped this week. Sales are okay. I would like to see more, just because it's so cool. It's like the America's Greatest. Like, listen, we're doing this because we want to do it, but we really think you'll like it. I think you'll really like it. This has got stories by Dan Vaughn himself, Stephen Brandt, Daniel Garonsky, who talks about Copa Tejas, and John Morrissey from USL Tactics is going to get involved. He's going to give us a breakdown of gunslingers from the southwestern states. What's better than that? With original art by Patrick Gabaldon, Saba, and then Christian
Apodaca.
So look, original art, great stories. The cover's beautiful. It's brilliant. And it's only like $8 plus shipping. Get involved.
Yeah, get on that. Absolutely, Josh. I agree. Well, that's it for this episode of the show. Thank you so much for listening or watching, however you do that. Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure for us to get a chance to chat with you, chat with each other while you watch. Like I said, visit protagonistsoccer.com if you'd like to help support us by purchasing a pre-sale copy of our magazine or the awesome patches that Josh has been working on. We would love your support. It only drives what we do as we continue to grow the game of lower league soccer. Have a good one. We're out.